Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Pundit says Arsenal fans didn't even realize how good their 25-year-old player was. Declan Rice has proven to be one of the signings of the summer. The England international is one of the big reasons why Arsenal currently sit top of the Premier League, and somehow he is going a long way towards justifying that £105 million transfer fee. Rice has been brilliant for Arsenal, and while he arrived with big expectations after becoming the club's record signing this summer, it's fair to say that he surpassed some of his expectations. Speaking on off the ball, Adrian Clark has been discussing Rice's impact at Arsenal this season, and he says that the midfielder has actually surprised a lot of Arsenal supporters, claiming that he has more tools in his locker than many fans realized. Clark spoke about the summer signing. He said, I still think in that big game at the Etihad, I fully expect Rice and Jorginho to be in there together, and I don't think Rice will be that much of a box-to-box midfielder. He will be more of a double pivot. I have been so impressed by Rice in terms of what he can do. He has a more tools in his locker than Arsenal fans thought he had at the start of the season. Clark isn't wrong. Rice has proven this season that he has more to his game than many ever realized. When he joined Arsenal, he was simply a holding midfield player, but now he is chipping in with a number of key goals and he transformed into a bit of a set piece specialist too. This is a player who always seems to be adding to his game, and he has to be considered one of the signings of the season. Rice has taken many by surprise, and Mikel Arteta must be over the moon with the impact the midfielder has made this term. Bukayo Saka says £30 million Arsenal player has been amazing recently. Arsenal star Bukayo Saka was full of praise for David Raya after the Spaniard's heroics against Porto last night. The Gunners were forced to go to a penalty shootout in the Champions League after an intense 120 minutes of football at the Emirates. The pressure was on Arsenal, but Raya saved the day with two fantastic saves. Arsenal signed David Raya on loan from Brentford last summer. Many people didn't understand why the Gunners needed someone like the Spaniard when they already had Aaron Ramsdale as their number one. The same people became even more confused when Mikel Arteta dropped the England goalkeeper and replaced him with Raya back in September. The £30 million Spain international had a shaky start, but he has been brilliant for Arsenal recently and has proven everyone wrong. His performance against Porto last night was arguably his best in a Gunners shirt. Raya was fantastic all game and then saved the day in the penalty shootout. He made two brilliant saves and Bukayo Saka was impressed. Speaking about Raya on TNT Sports, Saka said, Yeah, he was brilliant, credit to him. He basically won us the game with those two stops. Yeah, he has been amazing for us this season and that's a great moment for him. Almost everybody who watches Arsenal claimed Mikel Arteta made a mistake dropping Aaron Ramsdale for David Raya in goal. The Gunners boss, however, stuck to his guns, ignored all the external pressure, and put his full faith in Raya. It may not have seemed like the right move a few months ago, but Arteta's decision has been justified now. Raya has been one of the best goalkeepers in Europe since the turn of the year. He has played a big part in Arsenal's success over the last few weeks, and he stepped up again last night. Arteta's faith in Raya has been repaid, and if the goalkeeper can continue to perform in the same way until the end of the season, Arsenal have every chance of lifting a trophy or two. Ian Wright says he is really worried about £35 million Arsenal player right now. Ian Wright has admitted he is worried about Zinchenko's recent form for Arsenal. The 27-year-old has only recently returned from a calf injury as he made his comeback against Brentford on the weekend. Zinchenko is yet to regain his starting spot at left back, with Jakub Kivior impressing in the position in his absence. Speaking on Wright's house after Arsenal's penalty shootout win over Porto last night, Wright raised concerns about Zinchenko. He said, "Do you know what I think has happened with Zinchenko? Because in the game, he's kind of eased out of the picture at the moment with what we are doing and the times that he has played, and the reason why I think the crowd are impatient with what we want from him is because we want him to keep the ball and progress it, not give it away. There were just a couple of times. I don't know if it's rust or because he hasn't played. I don't know if it's because he is calm on in the game and it's quite hectic for him, but he gave the ball away a few times again." Wright was then asked if Zinchenko was trying to do too much while inverting as a left back. He said, yes, and it's scary and I'm feeling it. I think the fans might be feeling it because one of the telltale signs with a player when they are feeling a little bit frustrated is the groans from the crowd instantly. It's not like they thought we'd let him warm up to it. As soon as he gave the first ball away, they were like, because there is so much on the line. He's got to come on and he's got to be the one that comes on and keeps it composed for us and keeps the ball. If you have to do that silly thing that I hate seeing players do, pass it to each other, but I'm worried about that. Darren Bent claims £23 million Arsenal player was even better than William Saliba versus Porto. Darren Bent lauded Gabriel Magalhaes during the second half as Arsenal saw off Porto in the Champions League on a Tuesday night, making a claim about his performance that he does not get to say too often. Mikel Arteta's men booked their ticket to the quarter-final of the Champions League. A goal from Leandro Trossard saw their tie go to penalties, and David Raya was then the hero, making two saves in the shootout. For the Arsenal backline, it was yet another clean sheet. That is their fifth of the calendar year, and it has now been more than 2 months since any team scored twice against Arsenal. Obviously, William Saliba is one of the brightest talent in the Arsenal squad, but Gabriel Magalhaes has been integral alongside him. Some will feel that Gabriel goes under the radar due to the ability of his teammate, but speaking on TalkSport, Darren Bent suggested that the £23 million Brazilian had actually had a better night than the man alongside him. He said, "Listen, Gabriel, he defended really strong. He's been good on the ball, and again, that set play. Whenever Arsenal get a set play, he is always the danger. He always gets the first contact, makes aggressive runs. Again, he defended really well. I have been more impressed with him than Saliba, and I don't say that often." Obviously, one of the key reasons Arsenal appeared to run out of steam in the title race last year was the fact that they lost Saliba to injury for the final stages of the campaign. Arsenal fans will therefore be desperately hoping that none of their key men are hit by injury this season, but if they can keep everyone fit, the potential is clear. Arsenal are blowing so many teams away right now. Before beating Brentford, Arsenal went on a 5-game run where they scored at least 3 past every opponent in the top flight. Bukayo Saka shares his perfect celebration he will do if he scores against Man City this season. Bukayo Saka has a perfect celebration planned in the event he scores for Arsenal at Manchester City. Arsenal are going well at the moment and booked their place in the Champions League quarter-finals with a penalty shootout win over Porto. Mikel Arteta's men also lead the way in the Premier League on goal difference, with Manchester City a point behind, but they face some crucial games over the coming weeks, and their next league fixture is arguably the biggest of them all. The Gunners travel to the Etihad Stadium on March 31, and a win would surely put Arteta's side in the driving seat for the title. And after their last 16 win over Porto, Mika Richards convinced Bukayo Saka to pull out a new celebration. Speaking on CBS Sports, Katie Abdu mentioned that Richards is attempting to convince players to do a celebration dedicated to himself. The presenter said, Mika Richards is starting a movement, by the way. If they score, they have to do a celebration dedicated to Mika. Richards responded, Yeah, put Bellingham let me down, Rice let me down, but it was in a penalty shootout, so I will let him off. So when you score next, you know what I want, the big mix, draws a big M in the air and slaps his chest. Saka then shook Richards' hand, but the Pundit then added, as long as it's not against Man City. Saka said, it will be perfect if it's against Man City. Of course, Richards has recently admitted he is an Arsenal fan, but due to his close affiliation with City, he probably wouldn't be too delighted to see Saka score against his former side. As for Saka, it wouldn't be a surprise to see the 22-year-old do this celebration should he score at the Etihad. He has already produced a couple of memorable celebrations this season, one coming against Tottenham when he recreated James Maddison's celebration. But the most important thing for the Gunners will be picking up a positive result against the champions. You get the feeling that if Arsenal are to win the title, they will need to lay a marker down against City. 24-year-old is ready to leave Arsenal this summer, and Brighton are very keen to sign him. Reece Nelson signed a new 4-year contract at Arsenal last summer, but just 12 months later, it looks as if he could be set to leave Mikel Arteta's side, with the player keen on a move to Brighton. The 24-year-old winger has actually clocked up 22 games in all competitions this season, but he has only started 4 games, 3 of which have come Nelson's way in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. He has always played off a few scraps here and there in regards to game time, perhaps making the decision to sign a new deal last summer a bit of a surprise. It's now expected he will leave Arsenal. That is despite Yannick Bolasie claiming he has more unpredictability than Gabriel Martinelli. The form of Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard and more has kept him out of the starting 11. Team Talk claimed that Nelson is keen on an exit and is open to a move to Brighton, who have made him their summer priority. However, they may have to splash around £30 million to sign the Arsenal attacker. Brighton would be a wonderful move for a player of Nelson's ability, a player that at his best could set the Premier League alight, huge technical quality. He needs a platform to shine in the Premier League. The Seagulls have struggled this season at times, but are more than capable of qualifying for Europe at their best. The chance to work under a manager like Roberto De Zerbi will really entice the Arsenal man. Brighton can afford £30 million, but is Nelson worth that kind of fee? If Brighton can organise a smaller initial fee and then add ons judged by his form at Brighton, then it makes sense, but it is a lot of cash. Arsenal interest in striker transfer remains after a previous Edo transfer meeting, says expert. Arsenal are likely to still have an interest in Napoli striker Victor Osimhen ahead of this summer's transfer window, as it's likely they will be in the market for a centre forward, according to Charles Watts. Speaking exclusively to Cout Offside for his daily briefing column, Watts explained that Osimhen has previously been admired by the Gunners, while the Nigeria international's representatives have even had a meeting with Edo. Arsenal fans will no doubt be excited at the prospect of their club signing a big name like Osimhen, and the 25-year-old will surely have plenty of other suitors this summer as well after his fine form in Serie A in recent times. Still, Watts does acknowledge that Osimhen's price tag might prove to be an issue for Arsenal, who may also have other plans for this summer, such as further signings in midfield. Discussing the Osimhen situation, Watt said, "It's no great secret that Arsenal want to sign a striker this summer. When the window opens, it will be the priority, along with a midfielder and potentially another wide attacker. It will be interesting to see whether they move for Victor Osimhen. He, like Tony, is a player they like, and I know that his representatives have visited Arsenal's training ground for talks with Edu. Those talks took place in the summer when Arsenal eventually signed Gabriel Jesus. Jesus was always the priority that year, but Osimhen was definitely a player they view it as a serious alternative. That interest will remain, but the Nigerian could prove to be too costly an option in a summer given Arsenal want to spread their budget around as they look to take the squad to the next level. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.